One day after a long journey, I rested in front of a house. Suddenly a sparrow came towards me, blown helplessly by a strong wind. From another direction, an eagle dived to catch the panicky sparrow. Threatened from different directions, the sparrow flew into my lap. By choice, it would not normally do that. However, the little bird was seeking for a refuge from a great danger. Likewise, the violent winds of suffering and trouble blow us into the Lord's protective hands. There are many who are uncertain about the future life and the existence of God because they cannot see beyond this shell-like body of flesh, and their thoughts, like delicate wings, cannot carry them beyond the narrow confines of the brain. Their weak eyes cannot discover those eternal and unfading treasures which God has prepared for those who love Him. God's patience is infinite. Men, like small kettles, boil quickly with wrath at the least wrong. Not so God. If God were as wrathful, the world would have been a heap of ruins long ago. Those who determine not to put self to death will never see the will of God fulfilled in their lives. Those who ought to become the light of the world must necessarily burn and become less and less. By denying self, we are able to win others. During an earthquake, it sometimes happens that fresh springs break out in dry places which water and quicken the land so that plants can grow. In the same way, the shattering experiences of suffering can cause the living water to well up in a human heart. The true Christian is like sandalwood, which imparts its fragrance to the axe which cuts it, without doing any harm in return. In a Tibetan village, I noticed a crowd of people standing under a burning tree and looking up into the branches. I came near and discovered in the branches a bird which was anxiously flying round a nest full of young ones. The mother bird wanted to save her little ones, but she could not. When the fire reached the nest, the people waited breathlessly to see what she would do. No one could climb the tree. No one could help her. Now she could easily have saved her own life by flight, but instead of fleeing, she sat down on the nest, covering the little ones carefully with her wings. The fire seized her and burned her to ashes. She showed her love to her little ones by giving her life for them. If then this little insignificant creature had such love, how much more must our Heavenly Father love His children, the Creator love His creatures? If God is your own, then all things in heaven and on earth will be your own, because He is your Father and is everything to you. Otherwise, you will have to go and ask like a beggar for certain things. When they are used up, you will have to ask again. So ask not for gifts, but for the giver of gifts, not for life, but for the giver of life. Then life and the things needed for life will be added unto you. While I was in Tibet, I saw a Buddhist, a monk, who had lived for 5 or 6 years in a cave. When he went into the cave, he had good eyesight. But because he stayed so long in the darkness, His eyes grew weaker and weaker, and at last he became quite blind. It is just the same with us. If we do not use the blessings which we have received from God for His glory, we are in danger of losing them forever. This is the word of wisdom of Sadhu Sundar Singh, born in Patiala State, India, became an Indian Christian missionary whose life and message had a far-ranging impact. Thank you for watching.